Let's go around and we'll get a quick introduction of everyone, seeing as this is first session. If you want to say who you are, where people can find you, and do we want to intro at least who we're playing and what their job is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll just go in a little circle here. Let's start with Ethan.
Oh no, I was totally editing the calendar when you said the things we were supposed to say, so I was hoping I wouldn't go first.
You're good. Who you are, where they can find you, and who you're playing today, and what their job
Oh
is.
yeah, I'm Ethan. I'm around on the internet, mostly here. But you can find me at EJ the Gray on several social media. Probably one less if I start having to pay for it. I'll just put that out there. Probably one less.
Wait, we're about to have to pay?
Who even knows anymore? But tonight I will be playing. I will be playing Gigi Raji Coco Raji. The Phoenix is the name of the job, and you'll if you play Final Fantasy 14, you'll get the name. You'll get it. But if you haven't, you'll find out. It's a fun name. Gigi's shorter and easier, so go with that.
Love it. Harp.
Hi. I'm Harp. You can find me on like social medias and other places on the internet. My @'s probably on the page. You don't have to make me say it. But yeah, I'll be playing Maisie, the Nightmare. With a K.
Nightmare.
The Nightmare.
The Nightmare's so freaking cool. I have another character built. That's one.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited to see him roll. Then let's go to Kit.
That's me. Hi, I'm Kit. You can find me most places on the internet at KitRoll or on Twitter while it's burning at KitRollCost. For now, we'll see about it. I don't know. Tonight, I will be playing Alethos, everyone's favorite little guy, shapeshifter. Just vibing, hanging out. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. I'm worried because you told me not to worry.
Oh, I told you not to. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I'll go ahead and go next, so then I can just throw it to JT to just roll with it. I am Taylor, or @_potato_, but just without them is also good. That's what I am on Blue Sky. And I will be playing Spark, who is also just a little guy, little kobold shadebinder. I just have lots of buddies, and I am everybody's buddy. And it's going to be great. And then, yeah, JT, if you want to introduce yourself, and then you can get this ball rolling. We are obviously have a little hole in our overlay here. We are missing Kian this week, but they will be with us next time. So,
absolutely. Hi, I'm JT. I'm the game master tonight. You can find me all over the internet at WeebJeet, pretty much anywhere these days. And that tail you see thwipping around is my cat, Tater Tot. He insists upon himself, so he will probably be making a few appearances as he shakes my desk. Okay, buddy, come on. I need my desk. Thank you.
Tater wants in.
And I'm the perpetrator of this lovely little campaign that I will be taking our friends here on. So let's go ahead and dive into the wonderful world of Farlight. Deep within a vast sea of reflections, we find a lone crystal, warped and broken in ways that never should have been possible. Within this crystal is a galaxy, affectionately referred to by its inhabitants as Daedalus's Eye. And deep within that is a binary star system, known by its inhabitants as Orpheus's Cradle. And within that star system, a warped and wrong pale blue dot, a planet called Forsaken. Like no other planet of its name, its inhabitants being nothing more than victims of the past, trying to survive a desecrated and neglected planet, forced to adapt to a long empire lost called the Rustcallers, an empire shattered by their own hubris. The remnants of Forsaken have built themselves a final bastion against the unnatural and hostile nature their predecessors have left behind, a little city called Farlight. Within Farlight is a small group of sanctioned workers called Scavs, people tasked with leaving the safe walls of Farlight and venturing out to places long forgotten in search of answers and resources to extend their already very short clock. It is within this city we will meet our protagonists, as we zoom down on a city made of scrap and heap of nothing that is discernible from its origin. Outposts, scavenged and picked clean, make up the buildings of this place, and little market stalls dot the empty night street. As the moon basks overhead, we see guards of golden armor and blackened accents with weapons that seem to be much heavier than the guards should be able to handle. They appear to be weighty in nature. We move down this lovely little street to one of the only 2 buildings in Farlight made of stone. A library housing all of the knowledge that people have been able to gather about what remains of magic and what remains of the Rustcallers in this place. A lovely little place called the Umbral Archive. Within, we see 2 people. One being a giantkin of stonish nature, reaching the top shelves and pulling various books down to hand to students and guests alike. The other, Ethan, if you would go ahead and describe your character for us.
Yes. So, Gigi Raji Coco Raji, or Gigi for short. Never Gigi Coco, though. That's weird. So Gigi is probably about 50 to 60% of their stature on any given day is hat. Big, wide-brimmed hat, tall point. And below it, they stand probably about 3.5 feet tall on a good day, if they're wearing the nice boots. But they're mostly covered in like an overcoat and maybe some kind of like wraps and things like that. Their face is kind of hidden beneath the brim of this huge hat. And these like amber eyes kind of peek out from under as they sort of like hurriedly grab books to add to a stack that's already taller than they are. Who knows how they intend to transport that stack of books, but they've been pulling books for a project.
Your stone giant compatriot hands a little stack of books to someone about your size, and then turns to you. This is your coworker, your fellow scholar, Girendel Forge, one of the first scholars to help found the Umbral Archive. Sort of looks down to you. You know, if you want, I can help you carry all this to your study. It's getting to be about as tall as you are.
Gigi like has already grabbed the top book and is like flipping through it to kind of like make sure it was relevant, and then I'll like hand it up and say, yeah, probably. That's a little heavy.
You see,
you don't mind.
He reaches down with a single hand and picks it up, sort of crane and claw style, and walks to your office. He doesn't fit in your office because it was built for you when you joined. So he just sort of slides the books into it.
I imagine the books are like almost like the max height possible in the room. That's my limit.
He's very careful about making sure it's centered. The door sort of curves up to a point, so he has to get it within that point in order for the books to fit into the room. But he slides it in, and then he uses his finger to sort of slide it to the left, so you can get in and get to your desk.
I think Gigi will go in and then turn around and just lift a tiny little fist up for like a fist bump.
Very slowly and very gently, he fist bumps you.
Thanks, big fella. See you later. Then we'll go in and like close the door.
You slam the door shut.
Yeah.
The curtain.
Whatever.
Yeah. You are now alone with your books. What are you researching? What are you after within these tombs?
I think it could be one of a few things, but I think today was maybe sort of a self-indulgent kind of day. So it's a lot about sort of the reflections of Farlight and things like that. All of that things that we've been told not to touch. or learn about. But it's a lot of sort of like, what are these sort of other places? How are they different? How do they sort of echo into our world? And so it's a lot of theory and a lot of no answers, unfortunately, I would imagine. But still chipping away at it.
Absolutely. Accompanied by stacks and stacks of tall papers and books that you have yet to finish, both with the research that you've been given as work and the research that you were doing of your own accord. Not necessarily what most would call organized, but to you, it is a system which makes sense. You see sort of tucked within one of these stacks of paper is an envelope with a waxy seal on it of the Night Watch, the religious order that keeps peace in the city.
Gigi will grab it and then, like with a tap of a finger on like a like the wick inside of a lantern, just get a little extra light and like rip open the envelope to read it.
You rip it open, and it is a summons addressed to you. At your earliest convenience, if you would be so kind as to, on this date and on this time, meet with one of our Arc Sentinels for a job that is required of a particular care. Your skills have been determined to be at least partially of that particular care, and you will be greatly rewarded for your success with answers and money.
Kind of like shrugs. We'll look at your earliest convenience and then at the specific date and time.
Yeah, it's not. This was not written by someone who was thinking ahead very much.
Like
the two ways someone from this city might be able to interpret it as is be there at this specific date and time. Your earliest convenience is this, or someone who's
that was the
poorly read has written this letter.
That was the assumption, is that your earliest convenience is at the latest this. But I think Gigi like folds it up and like stuffs it into the like coat, and then we'll kind of like look around a little hopelessly of like, I'm never gonna get through all this in time. And then I'll just kind of like sit down and pull out a little tea set and just start making tea. It's like I need to prioritize, and so I'm just gonna sit and center, and maybe I don't get anything done, but that's okay. That's okay.
Absolutely.
Internal and external monologue.
I imagine Gigi probably has like a full-blown tea set, right? Like with the metal steeper and everything, where you just put the leaves in and you, excellent, absolutely wonderful.
Lighting everything with like a tap of a finger, not like there's very intentionally not a lot of sources of ignition in this room since it's filled with towers of paper. But the little tiny little flames that are sort of like almost like dark, where they don't seem to like give off a ton of like light or heat all the time, but they get the job done. They boil water, give enough light to read by.
Absolutely. And as you begin to steep your cup of tea, we will pull away from the Umbral Archive, back out into the wonderful market streets that sort of wind their way up the hill that Farlight is founded on, to a further part of the market, a little fancier, a little nicer. We will zoom in on a kobold. Let's say is the best way. Tay, you could do a better job than I can of describing your character.
Yeah. So everyone can see a little kobold, and by little I mean probably not as little as our librarian buddy, but about 4 feet or so. Pretty average in size and such, not so average in look, as they are just this extremely pale, like orange, almost their entire body, with then very accentuated kind of face paintings and markings of pink and yellow, attempts at like eye makeup. I don't know how. I don't. Kobold's a lizard, probably doesn't have eyelids, but something up there to do the mix. But these like real stark black horns that have all sorts of little bits and baubles on them. Their clothes is the same, just lots of bits and baubles and bright fabrics and different colors and all around them. Probably have a couple of little not like cages in like a spooky way, but little we said pokeball is a joke, but kind of like little pokeballs and such, kind of mixed in there. And anywhere that there can be any sort of color or jewel, it is thrown on.
Absolutely. And what would, you said your name was Spark, yes?
Yes.
What would Spark be doing at this time of night?
Oh, nighttime.
It's about as night as it can get.
Yeah. Probably has been kind of just scavenging around. Likes to just see what people drop. Likes to see what little things are on the ground. Little lost treasures, maybe little lost friends, if any shades can be found along the way. But is probably just kind of walking around, people watching, maybe grabbing things easily out of people's pockets if they're not looking, but that's not priority. More interested in the find than the taking.
Absolutely. Give me just a second here whilst I have a look at something in the book. So I think maybe you might want to make the first roll of the game.
Oh boy.
If you'd be interested.
I would gladly kick us off. Probably not greatly.
There isn't a move in here just for scanning a crowd. It looks like. So if you just want to roll a d20 and
like gather insight, gain insight. Oh yeah,
gather insight. We can work with that.
Thing. I haven't played a game with a d20 in so long. I have one within reach.
Do you have any skills, background skills that might apply to this?
Oh yeah, for sure. I had one, and I don't really know how quite best to word it, but the gist was, because I have that copycat skill, I have like an avid learner was kind of how to, but more it is like, the kind of people watching, the mimicking, the keeping an eye on what everyone does and has and is,
Sure.
Perceptive, but specifically in like what makes people tick and how they do the things they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and say that that'll give you an accuracy. Absolutely.
Beautiful. And that's a d6, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. I told you I was going to kick us off great. 8.
8. So I believe an 8 is...
I'm cursed with 3s on d20s, and I rolled a 3.
You don't find much. People are keeping their purses a little tighter these days. You find maybe about 3 gold coins scattered about, and you see a mouse, not necessarily a shade, but just like a little fella skittering about.
They just kind of skitter after it.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, just yelling at a rat.
You follow it, you skitter after it, and round into just a little side alley between the 2 metal structures that you were up against as you were scanning. And you see from the rooftop, right after the mouse skitters down into a little sewer grate, an envelope floats down and lands in front of you with a wax seal that all Farlight citizens would recognize as the seal of the Night Watch.
it's a magic mouse. I'll open it up.
Spark, you have been summoned by the Arc Sentinels to convene for a job which we have determined your skills to be of a particular proclivity. If you would be so kind as to meet with one of our Arc Sentinels at this time and date, it would be much appreciated. You will be rewarded greatly with answers and money.
Well, I don't know what a lot of those words mean, but I know what money means, so I'm gonna just go ahead and do that.
Absolutely. And we will go ahead and pull away from Spark and zip throughout the city to maybe one of the stranger sights of the city. Kit, if you could describe your character and tell us what Alethos would be up to.
Well, that's the thing. What doesn't Alethos look like? I think currently what we would see, unless they have any reason not to be, we would currently see a humanoid, arguably femme presenting, with a sort of shoulder length darkish hair and these bright yellow gold eyes, very freckly, and just sort of in very casual clothes, the fingerless gloves, a little like skirt situation, just very casual vibing. Probably bopping around. It's late, but they're still probably bopping around where there would normally be like shops and stalls and things like that during the day. Just kind of walking around, getting the lay of the land. If there are still places open, they're really into like food right now. They've realized that food is a thing that can be like interesting and different. So if there's any like food stalls that are open currently, they are bothering the cooks incessantly, and like probably purchasing one or two things, but like mostly just sitting there watching them cook, just enraptured.
Absolutely. And there is a cook, a human, big bushy red beard and hair tied up in a ponytail, has his own stall where he has a grill right behind and he's taking orders right at the front. Sort of like a nice little bar that you can sit down at, makes up the front of the stall. And he's answering questions. He's mostly talkative because, customer service is very important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's very goofy questions to somebody like him who knows how cooking works and how food is meant to be, because it's very goofy questions of like, does this one have to be cooked? I know it's preferred to be cooked. Does it have to be? Will it hurt you if it is not cooked? Will it hurt an animal if it is not cooked?
Yes, I've found that not cooking chicken can have negative health consequences for most of its consumers.
You say most.
Right, well, you've got, predatory animals that can hunt and eat most of their prey raw, but, other birds can't really eat chicken, period, and most bipedal things can't eat it unless it's cooked.
But are bipedal humanoids not also predators? And I think as they're sort of talking, there's a little bit of like what I can only describe as a glitch. There's just sort of this faint blue sort of like haze that sort of comes across them on occasion. And as they sort of like get thinking a little bit hard, that sort of like almost staticky, like, you can tell they're thinking hard because you can see the thoughts sort of running up. Fascinating. Are all chickens dangerous or just the dead ones?
Right, well, chickens are a particular breed of dangerous. They're not very smart, so they don't know when they're in danger, per se. They have survival instincts that what kick in, but if they see something that's not actively trying to hurt them, they can be real bastards.
So they're mean if you're not trying to hurt them, but they're nice if they're trying to hurt them. Thank you.
They're kind of like people. They're everybody's different. Some of them are friendlier than others. They'll accustom to like a particular person. Sometimes, otherwise they are generally just mean.
Mm-hmm. And that is why we eat them.
No, we eat them because they're easy to make. Let's say
you make the chickens. Do the chickens not make the chickens?
The chickens do make the chickens. They're just they're small, easily contained, and they easily produce more.
And people like them because of this.
Well, it's also just got a pretty okay flavor if you cook it right. And he sets a bowl down in front of you, steaming chicken, pasta, some other meats you don't recognize in there. And underneath is, instead of a napkin, seems to have handed you an envelope, but he doesn't say anything.
Alethos picks up both, just sort of looking at it, like does the thing where they hold it up and like look at it way too close. It doesn't make any sense. It's way too hot, but they don't seem to care. Thank you. And they go to walk away, and then they remember, stop, turn around, put some gold on his little, what's the word, table. Thank you. And we'll walk away, not really eating it, but as they walk, they're sort of like, you can see like a street light sort of grows a little bit of rust. And then another one. And some like random bits of like a cart. And they're trying to walk very fast so that it doesn't happen too much in one place. But then probably at the end of the block, the bowl is empty. And they will look at the envelope.
Yeah. So, unlike most, you would not recognize this symbol unless you had been here for long enough to have heard tell.
Maybe not.
It has a symbol you don't recognize on it. If you pry the wax open, inside is a letter addressed not by name, but just to the Rustcaller.
I don't like that name, but I keep reading.
If you would be so kind as to meet with our Arc Sentinels, we have determined that your abilities are of a certain proclivity. At your earliest convenience, please meet at this date and time in this location. You will be rewarded with answers and money.
Oh, I don't care about money, but answers are delightful. I feel like my reading is getting perhaps rusty. I don't think those words mean what I think they mean. What with the time. But I can read a date. This is fine. I will do this. Sort of tuck it away in their pocket.
We will zoom away from Alethos and zoom not somewhere in the city, actually, but to its south. We see a normal green valley for some time, but eventually we pan up on black grass. And we keep going and we follow, and we see large, absolutely redwood-sized trees of black charcoal color. And their leaves are almost a ghostly white, and hanging off of these branches are white apples with ghostly faces on them. Through the winding, shadowy place, the lighting hitting the forest does not seem to make sense as the shadows shift and change. The Obsidian Forest does not rest for anyone, especially not the woman we find waking up in the middle of it. Maisie, Harp, if you would please describe your character.
Maisie is a small in stature, young woman who is kind of styled like JRPG punk, like has these like black baggy-ish pants with like too many zippers and pockets on them, and maybe like a belt somewhere that it really doesn't make sense for a belt to be, and a black tank top with a denim jacket over it, or something close to denim. All over the outfit are chains of black and white, glass chains that match the trees and the leaves around, or just pure obsidian black and then stark white. And as she kind of wakes up, not again.
You sort of stir awake in the middle of this forest. It is eerily quiet, but not unexpectedly so. You see the leaves are moving with the wind, but they are not rustling. And you see that the shade is as inconsistent as always. You attempt to shake off the general grogginess from sleep, find yourself unable to. You are only met with flashes of your dream last night. Flashes of a gnome, a kobold, a woman with a pike through her head, and some creature that you just can't make out what they are for the life of you. Looks like they could be trying to be a person, but you are left confused by their very being. And imprinted on you are this sense of where you need to be and when. Now, this where you get the feeling is back in Farlight, several 100 miles from your location. But you are left to your devices in the forest.
As this all kind of runs through her brain, the permanent bags, heavy bags under her eyes get a bit deeper for a second. Just looks around for maybe 10, 15 seconds, always looks around expecting something to happen this time. Then finds a comfy-ish spot under a tree, and despite everything, tries to close her eyes and fall back asleep.
I'm just going to have you roll a d20 for that.
Okay.
If you have a background skill in napping, I will let you add an accuracy to that.
Believe it or not, Maisie is not the best at napping. That is a natural 1.
You try to call sleep back. This is the normal way you return to Farlight. It seems like you're being made to walk this time.
To nobody in particular, just kind of the forest around her. We didn't even find anything today. Everybody around me just didn't. You're gonna. All right, what? It starts walking.
Yeah, you walk back. You get to the edge of the Obsidian Forest after a few hours of walking, and finally you feel that slumber is willing to take you.
Yeah, just rolls her eyes despite there being so much relief there when she's actually tired, and finds a comfy-ish spot on the edge, knowing that she won't be there for long. It just passes out.
Yeah, you conk out. Your dreams are the usual: a bright flash of blue, visions of the reclaimed waste, visions of outposts. Nothing unheard of, almost indecipherable in their meaning. The strongest you've ever had was those 4 individuals meeting you somewhere, and you wake up again somewhere in Farlight. Not in a bed, maybe some back alley or the middle of the road, but you wake up again.
Is it still like in the middle of the night?
It is still nighttime. It doesn't seem to stop being nighttime, though the planet is in a binary star system and the planet is clearly rotating. The moon always hangs over the planet in such a way that one of the two stars is blocked, and so it is much darker at any given point.
She would, upon kind of jolting awake, taking in the surroundings, just walk out of the alley, get an idea of where she is. A couple seconds outside of the alley should tell her about like where she is if she doesn't know exactly.
Yeah, you get out. You're in the upper ring of the city. The city is sort of tiered on these old outpost chunks that have been salvaged and repurposed into buildings, and so it almost sort of towers on this hill. It is the natural curvature and streets of the town move up towards where you get the feeling that you're supposed to be. A large blackstone citadel, the Steel Chapel, the home of Mother Grievance and her 4 Arc Sentinels, who are members of the Order of the Night Watch, the religious order that keeps watch over the city. And that is what is beckoning you.
Mumbles to herself, if this is another fake dream about fake things. Realizes she's talking to herself and keeps walking.
You keep walking, and you are met at the front with an Arc Sentinel. They have golden armor with black accents. Their helmets cover their eyes with a black visor that sort of points out into a point, and one of them is holding a pike, sees you, nods without saying anything, and steps aside to let you in.
Does like 3 double takes, and then doesn't say anything but walks through.
Yes. As the 4 of you arrive at your own times, at your own pace, right around this meeting time, you are met with the same nod, step aside to let you in, as you guys walk into a dark chapel. The fire on the sconces barely lights the way. The red, sort of a blood red carpet lines the walls, and there are paintings lining the foyer of Mother Grievance and her 4 Arc Sentinels. You see among them are Sister Blight, Sister Anger, Brother Plight, and Brother Fear. All watchers of the city, commanders of the Arc Sentinels, because Mother Grievance is much too busy convening with the Night Watch to truly watch the city herself. Ensconced on the big door where you are all set to meet within is the prayer of the Night Watch that reads, "The Night Watch guides us with its silver gaze. The Night Watch leads us through life's maze. Plunged into darkness without her light, grieve and fear with her plight. She teaches us anger, pain, and blight. Follow us deeply into this good night." You all only just have time to read it as the 4 of you connect, and the doors almost instinctively swing open. Inside is a woman in a long silk black dress. She has 2 rose-shaped pauldrons on her shoulders and a small rapier at her side that seems to almost be made of glass. And in place of her eyes are 2 stone metal-ish discs. Her expressionless face, you know this to be Sister Blight, who nods her head at you, steps aside, and gestures for you to enter.
Before we get into the drama of RPing this, can I get a reword the sisters and brothers? Who was Blight? Who was which?
So the four siblings are Sister Blight, Sister Anger, Brother Plight, and Brother Fear.
Plight was what I missed. Okay, thank you.
Elithos is doing that thing where they walk past, but they're staring the whole time.
And Elithos, this is the first time you've been in a place where wherever you move, even though there's metal, it doesn't seem to be rusting.
None of it?
None of it.
Interesting. Squinting.
Spark is just wide-eyed, opposite, wide-eyed, looking at everything very noticeably up at y'all.
Maisie is cautiously watching forward, but definitely like, you know, the way somebody who got 2 hours of sleep might.
I think Gigi's honestly just like walking fairly confidently, just doing the little like I'm too short to have real knees kind of thing. And so it's just like very much like swinging legs and arms and just like walking forward. It's like, nah. It's like I have books to read. Let's get this over with.
Yeah. You guys all walk in. There is a black stone table with chairs sized for each of you sitting around them. There is a fifth almost throne at the head of the table. She encourages you all to take a seat before saying, I will return shortly for you. Don't touch anything. And she walks out and the doors slam behind her.
Is there metal in this room?
The sconces on the wall are made of metal. The chairs are metal, all painted black. None of them are rusting.
Yeah, I think Alethos is sitting backwards in a chair, so like the back of the chair is like right in front of them. Just sort of like their eyes are just changing colors rapidly, and nothing's happening. And they just get this massive grin on their face. Oh,
I smile as well, just so many teeth.
Alethos just gets so close to your face. Oh, that is neat.
Thank you.
Do you mind if
Oh, no.
And then they just grin very large, and it's all teeth, just like yours. All fangs. Oh, I like this.
That's impressive.
That's fun. They try to say words, it doesn't work, so they turn them back to regular teeth. Blunter teeth. I will work on
While Alethos and Spark are doing that, I think Maisie would just, after like looking around for a while, make eye contact with Gigi and just give the "what's up" nod.
She's just like swaying back and forth, like definitely swinging legs because they don't even begin to reach the ground. But it's like, hey,
relatable content.
How's it going?
Same as always. How about you?
I had other things to do, but I'm here now.
Happens.
That's the shadow.
Still, you know, like I said, same as always.
Fair enough.
Do you know each other?
We've met.
A lot of people come to the library.
Oh.
You work at a library.
That's where I've seen you.
Technically an archive.
The archive?
That would depend. Probably. Maybe.
It's probably the one you're thinking of. I'm gonna, cut through here. It's probably the one you're thinking of. Yeah.
Perhaps. I don't know many, but I've heard of them. They sound fascinating.
Lots of books. Nice tall guy to help you reach the high shelves.
Oh, I need a tall friend.
You need a tall friend?
Yeah. You're tall.
I could be tall. I could be taller. Would you like
You're taller than me?
I could be taller still.
What? Really?
And I think they just sort of like grow, like literally like 6 inches, just apropos of nothing. Is this tall enough?
Can you go taller? I mean, it's
God, can I go
tall
taller?
enough, but
God, how tall can I go?
Questions.
Starting the real questions early.
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to go taller than that. As long as you've got the energy to expend. And
look, you could just literally go an inch at a time, and Spark is going to be so impressed.
Like, here's the thing.
Whoa.
Nothing is rusting here, so I can go very tall and not break anything. I literally 1.5 feet. Like, oh, this is strange. I don't know that I like it, but it is very neat.
You don't have to be that tall, but it is quite impressive.
I think
Taller
Gigi
than
kind
me.
of takes notice of Alethos and is like, wait a minute. What is
They just sort of stand very straight. Yes.
Something's funny about you. I don't know what it is. I don't think I know what it is.
Did I make a joke? I'm not good at those.
Not more like curious funny, not haha funny.
I am quite curious, yes. Do you prefer that I'm shorter?
No, I have no preference about your size or appearance.
How tall do you want to be?
I do not know. But you needed a tall friend, so. The chairs are not built for this, though. Perhaps later. And they will shrink back another 2 feet back to where they were.
Wait. So did you all get magic mouths? Magic
No.
mouth?
Mine was from a chicken.
Mice?
Chicken.
I don't know that the chicken was magic. It was quite dead.
Dead magic chicken.
Maisie is constantly checking with Gigi to see if any of this is making sense to Gigi, and then upon the non-recognition, feels a bit better about being like, "What?"
He kind of looks over Maisie and just like nods, just like, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I don't know.
Yes, the dead chickens. You eat the dead chickens because they're less mean when they're dead.
That's right.
It's right?
Not wrong.
I've never met a nice chicken.
Never.
Mm-mm.
I've been told they could be nice if they like you, like people.
Well, I do probably look like an enemy to them, so.
You look like a friend,
Thank you.
I think.
I like to think of you.
Chicken did not look like a friend. The chicken looked very dead. And also in pasta.
At that pasta comment, the doors once again swing open a lot quicker than doors that heavy should be able to, and Sister Blight strolls in once again, holding a small piece of old equipment almost. most people who are scavs, specifically I believe Maisie would recognize, this is something that you would find in an outpost. She will move around the table, set this metal box almost in the center, and take her place at the throne. A single gesture of her hands, the doors slam shut with a thud, as she sort of sits and crosses one knee over the other. Hello.
Hello.
Mighty curious bunch. Plight put together, huh?
Ah.
Certain proclivities, he says. I suppose.
What does that mean? I read that in the letter from the Magic Mouth.
Our delivery systems are getting very odd these days. If a mouse delivered your letter. Proclivities. Did you not receive a letter?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Ma'am. Sorry.
Show me your letter.
Everybody?
Everybody.
Maisie looks like the teacher just called on somebody for homework and they don't have it. And she does not have anything.
Easy, you keep losing very important things.
I didn't even get anything this time. Also, I don't lose things that often.
Very important things, though. Maybe not good quality, quantity.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
Who told you to come then?
Sure. Am I not supposed to be here? The guard stepped aside for me.
No, you are.
Sure does fit.
I just
curious as to why Plight thought he didn't need to send you a letter.
I just thought I should be here. You keep going. It doesn't matter.
You get the sense that there's an important meeting here, and you assume it's a first come, first serve?
I don't try to assume anything, ma'am. Yes.
Well, you've already seen too much. I don't feel like getting my hands dirty, so, as far as I'm concerned, you received a letter. The four of you possess certain proclivities that are necessary for the retrieval of this mission. You're looking for something very particular, something on that drive. She points to the metal machine.
Elithos instinctually reaches for it and then pulls back.
On that drive is a map, and it is missing several pieces. However, those pieces are, as we've determined through our scav network, that there are other pieces of the maps in the reclaimed wastes, which is where you will be going to retrieve them so that you can go where the map is showing us to go and get us our catalyst drive.
What do you want a catalyst drive for?
We have reason to believe that it might be of use to the Night Watch. Something we're very interested in serving, as is every inhabitant of this city. Isn't that right, Scav?
Of course, ma'am.
Yes, but to what end? What would you like it to do?
Maisie gives as that question. Maisie gives a look that's just like very like there is a limit of questions that can be made here. Just like the moment that question comes out of the mouth, just like higher tenseness, just like sits up straighter, more aware of the things around her.
What we want with it is none of your concern. All you are to do is to retrieve it for us, however long that takes. You will be rewarded handsomely. Answers out in the field and money when you return.
Not answers.
My answers. Yes. Yes. Gigi kind of looks at Aletha and is like, yes, that's a good question.
What did you ask? Sorry.
But not answers when we return.
You will be afforded some answers when you return if you have extraneous questions that don't relate to our intentions with the device.
They were clearly just about to ask if that was the question that they could.
Should you fail, however, and I don't think this will be a problem, because if you fail in the field, you'll probably die anyway. But if you fail, and you come back empty-handed, Farlight will have no use for you anymore.
That can't be right.
I have another job. What happens to that job?
We are making arrangements to ensure that your time away will not be missed.
But if we fail and we come back, do I also not have a job?
I suppose you could interpret it that way, yes.
I think she
It's a
means you'll be dead like the chicken.
Okay. All right, I see what this is. That's okay. Okay. When do we leave? Do we leave now? Do we leave tomorrow? Do we leave? Where are we going?
You'll receive a day to prepare your supplies, get to know each other, whatever you need to do before you'll feel safe setting out into the unknown.
Of course, it'll be...
unknown. It feels safe and unknown don't really go together that well, but
it would probably
Yeah,
help.
it's not always bad.
Probably help our research a lot, ma'am, if some funds were given from the Night Watch proactively, just helping us out on a mission. I'd assume. Anyways.
We don't pay unless a job is finished. We're paying for a product, after all.
Do we keep our receipts then?
I don't think they will need receipts. Whatever we'll be paying you will be more than enough to cover what you bought to take with you, and then some. I promise you that. But we can't very well invest in a group that's going to go out and get killed, can we?
good.
We're not. That implies. It looks at Gigi. That implies we're gonna not succeed. Yeah, ma'am, we'll do it. Claim waste's not the worst thing. Is there anything else we need to know?
Other than we haven't been able to figure out how to get the device working, no.
Okay.
This one?
Yes.
You haven't gotten the map off of it.
Kind of hard to get a map off of anything if you don't know how to turn it on.
Would you like me to?
Can you turn on Rustcaller tech that's been dead for 3 centuries?
It worked on me.
Oh. Interesting.
By all means.
And Delethos will grab the piece of tech and pull it towards them, and they will try to interface with it.
Okay. Go ahead and make your D20 roll.
Which is explicitly one of my background skills.
Yep. Go ahead and add your 1 accuracy to that.
Excellent. Let me make sure that I'm doing this. Okay. Cool. Hey, Jeet, that's a nat 20. Which kind of tracks.
Yeah, no.
Well, like it's hard.
Okay, so I'm going to treat this as a gather information roll. So you will succeed at turning the device on. You may also ask 2 questions related to this device if you would like for the crit.
Okay.
You don't have to.
I would love to. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
I would like to know, A, what is on this bad boy? What sort of information you got for me? What sort of files you got?
Okay.
And that may inform my second question, if that is
okay.
If that pleases the court.
Sure. Allowed.
Thank you.
On this device, you begin to interface with it. The rest of you see Alethos, I think, almost basically just touch it, and it powers on. As you sort of interface with this thing, you see a bunch of old, corrupted files, completely unrecoverable. You see the map, and you see a projection file for a research project. The map is also a projection file. If you open either of these, the map will project, or this message will project.
Okay, so my follow-up then would be, do I have a way to hold that message projection within my person? Is that something that I could keep, or would I have to hold this piece of material to have access to that?
What I will say is that you could present and take on the functionality of devices. So let's say this device, its projector was broken. You would be able to project the file, but you would need to be touching the device.